मीडिया बेस के प्लेटफॉर्म तो खबरां दा लेखा जोखा प्रोग्राम के अंतर्गत आप सब का निका स्वागत है जी आयन।
April 19, 2024 Khabran Da Lekha Jokha program is sponsored by Hanif Litigation. Any criminal or regulatory law matters, contact lawyer Shahid Hanif at Hanif Litigation 604-626-3144. Didi, again RCMP and SPS ka ye jhagda. There is yet another development in the ongoing fight surrounding this transition to a municipal police service in Surrey. In a scathing letter addressed to Solicitor General Mike Farnwood, the Commissioner of the RCMP says he was surprised to hear last week that the province had an agreement in principle that the RCMP would support the Surrey Police Service as the police of jurisdiction. Commissioner Mike Jihim says that's not true and there is no agreement, thereby implying a red under blue scenario, the letter read. He says under federal law, members of the RCMP don't have to support the transition. Federal legislation and governor in council agreements for provincial and municipal police service do not provide authority to require on a non-voluntary basis RCMP members to work under the command of another police service to support a transition to a new municipal police service. He says significant work remains to confirm the parameters of any required RCMP assistance. He also said, leaving dozens of SPS officers in the lurch. The absence of a valid assignment agreement is a critical gap for the RCMP. Without one, there are approximately 180 SPS officers in the Surrey RCMP detachment with no clear authority to deliver services on behalf of the RCMP at this time. This presents significant ongoing operational and legal risk for the RCMP, he stressed in the letter.
Ashana ਇਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਨਾ ਨਿਤ ਨਵਾਂ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਪੱਤਾ ਸੁੱਟਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਔਰ ਇਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਡੀ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਖੇਡ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਖੇਡੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿ ਸੂਬੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਇਹ ਸਪਸ਼ਟ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਰੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਗਰਿਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਦੇਗੀ ਔਰ ਇਹ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬੜੀ ਜਲਦੀ ਪੂਰਨ ਚੜ੍ਹੇਗੀ ਔਰ ਇਹਦੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚਿੱਠੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਨਾ ਕੜੀਆਂ ਲੀਕ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਪੱਤਰ ਨੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਜੱਗ ਜ਼ਾਹਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਣ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਨੇ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਪਰ ਅਗਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਘੋਸ਼ਣਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਆਸਾਰ ਨੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਵੈਸੇ
we'll know something solid by next Friday.
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਨਾਲੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਆਸ਼ਾ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੂਬਾ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਬਾਰੇ ਬੜੀ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਾਤੋਂ ਮੰਗ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਯਾਰ ਇਹਦੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਰ ਸੰਭਵ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਨੇਪਰੇ ਸੁਹਿਰਦ ਢੰਗ ਨਾਲ ਚੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕੇ
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ. This weekend is going to be a busy one if you want to get out of the house. From cultural celebrations to pounding the pavement, a ton of events are on the go around Metro Vancouver. More than 500,000 people are expected to cover in Surrey this weekend as the city hosts its annual Khalsa Day Vaisakhi Parade. From music to festivities, the area around Newton will be packed on Saturday, one of the most important festivals in the Sikh calendar. Surrey's Vaisakhi Parade is the largest in the world. In Vancouver, the annual 420 celebrations are also on the go Saturday. It's down at Sunset Beach in the city's west end, so you may want to make sure you are upwind if you don't like the smell of marijuana. Meanwhile, BC Place is going country this weekend. Nickelback, Luke Bryan and Dierks Bentley are headling the first ever Coast City Country. The boys from Hanna, Alberta are on the stage Friday night, while the US superstars do their thing Saturday night. And if you need something healthy after all that celebration, the Vancouver Sun goes on Sunday. It's the 40th edition of the 10-kilometer run, one of the largest races of its kind in North America. Road closures are in place on Sunday for downtown and near Stanley Park, so if you are thinking of traveling into the city that day, maybe look to take transit.
ਆ ਵੀਕਐਂਡ ਲੋਅਰ ਮੇਲੈਂਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੜਾ ਰੌਣਕਾਂ ਵਾਲਾ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਪਰੇਡ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਸਨ ਰਨ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੇਮ ਵੀ ਆ ਸ਼ਾਨਾ
ਨਾਲ ਮੈਰੀਜੁਆਨਾ
ਕੁਝ ਪੁੱਛੋ ਨਾ 420 ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਸੂਟੇ ਵੀ ਖਿੱਚਣੇ ਆ ਸੋ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਡੀ ਤਾਦਾਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਲੋਅਰ ਮੇਲੈਂਡ ਦੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਵੀਕਐਂਡ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਟ੍ਰੈਫਿਕ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਵੱਡਾ ਮਸਲਾ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਪਰ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਬੜੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਮਨਾਏ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਚਾਹੇ ਸੂਟੇ ਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ
Welcome. The federal government continues to seek a foreign grocery store operator to come to Canada in an effort to increase competition and provide more options to residents. according to the Wall Street Journal, and in access to information requests revealed that the feds are reviewing a list of dozen potential candidate companies to come to Canada and compete with the big three Loblaw Companies Limited, Metro Inc., and Sobeys Inc. The current list stands at 12 and is mainly based in Europe, except for one from the U.S. Grocery Outlet Holdings, which operates 470 discount stores, other grocery chains charmed by the fads, and in Germany, Turkey, Spain, Portugal, Norway, and the Netherlands. Canada's Industry Minister Francis Philippe Champagne started the search last fall after criticizing the country's big three grocery stores for failing to disclose the cause of food inflation. There is no word on what financial incentive, if any, would be required to attract foreign players to Canada. Champagne said that the foods would not offer government cash to get deals with the new chains and instead have been changing competition laws to make our market more attractive for business. Champagne recently traveled across Europe and met with the grocery CEOs after G7 meeting in Capri, Italy. Like many other countries, Canada experienced fluctuations in grocery prices due to various factors such as supply chain disruptions, weather events affecting agriculture, and shifts in consumer demand. The latest federal budget did not include a windfall tax or major grocers like Loblaw Companies Limited, Metro Inc., and Sobeys Inc., despite federal warnings of consequences if they didn't make food more affordable for customers. The pressure has led more Canadian shoppers to seek out relief at discount grocery stores or by buying private label products instead of brand name. The major grocery chains have responded by opening or converting more discount stores, in particular Loblaw, which opened more than 30 new Maxi and No Frills stores last year. Grocery inflation continued to slow in March, rising just 1.9% compared with a year earlier. That's down from February annual rate of 2.4% and a far cry from the peak of grocery inflation at 11.4% in late 2022 and early 2023.
ਸ਼ੁਕਰ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਵੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਤਵੱਜੋ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਵਰਨਾ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਪੂਰੇ ਦੇ ਪੂਰੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਭਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿਰਫ 3 ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਖਾਦ ਪਦਾਰਥ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਖਾਣ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਵਸਤਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਾਈਡ ਕਰਨ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਫਿਰ ਚੰਮਦੀਆਂ ਚੱਲਦੀਆਂ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਇਹਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਡਾ ਕਾਰਨ ਮੰਨਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਇਸ ਕਾਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਖਾਦ ਪਦਾਰਥਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਵਧੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਯੂਰਪ ਦੀਆਂ ਕੁਝ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੀ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਆਏਗੀ, ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਕੁਝ ਰਾਹਤ ਦਿਲਾਏਗੀ।
Canadian banks that refuse to identify the carbon rebate by name when doing direct deposits are forcing the government to change the law to make them do it, says Environment Minister Steve Guilbeault. Guilbeault is taking the stand after Tuesday's federal budget promised to amend the Financial Administration Act so government payments accepted for deposit at Canadian banks will carry whatever title the government wants. The fact that they haven't been doing it now for many years led us to take this position. His department has been battling with banks for almost 2 years over how carbon rebates are labeled when they are deposited directly into bank accounts. The first rebate deposit in 2022 were labeled very generically Federal Payment and EFT Canada, for example, which meant recipients had no idea why they were getting the money. Some banks, but not all, have since amended their procedures to ensure bank statements reflect the measure's new name, the Canada Carbon Rebate. TD and BMO have adopted the government's request, which fits the 15 character limit imposed by some banks. However, RBC and Nova Scotia were unable to make the change in time for the rollout, although both say they intend to update to the new name. CIBC, meanwhile, is still calling it Deposit Canada. Guilbeault said the lack of the clear identifier isn't the only thing fueling confusion about carbon pricing, but is definitely part of the problem. I think we took it for granted, and since people were receiving it, people knew they were receiving it. We've come to discover over the last few months that it wasn't the case, in part because it is the way it was labeled, or mislabeled, I should say, by most financial institutions. The government has struggled to explain the carbon price and the rebate since the policy began in 2019. That has helped the Conservatives opposed to carbon pricing in their unrelenting efforts to kill it off once and for all.
ਅਸ਼ਾਨਾ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਤੇ ਰਿਬੇਟ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਕਾਰਬਨ ਦੀ ਰਿਬੇਟ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਸਪਸ਼ਟ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਇਸ ਦੀ ਮੰਗ ਵੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ।
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ।
ਔਰ ਵੈਸੇ ਕਈ ਵਾਰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ, ਚਲੋ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਪੈਸੇ ਆ ਗਏ, ਬੜੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੋੜਨੇ ਪੈਣੇ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਦੋਂ ਆ।
खबरों का लेखा जोखा प्रोग्राम से इजाजत दीजिए। Until next time, goodbye, be safe.